Check 1, 2.
Well, hello there, boyfriend. How are you this fine day?
I'm really good.
Is it working?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's not touch shit.
I'm afraid to ask, but I have a great question.
I don't even know what I was going to say. I'm so disturbed right now.
So, this is Afraid to Ask. And,
It is?
it's the new studio.
Oh, yes, it is.
We, spent some time in Alaska. Thoughts? Prayers? It's nice and warm.
It was very sunny.
Last time I took you to Alaska,
It was not sunny.
the first time I took you to Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska is where I live, and it's the coldest part of Alaska outside of the North Slope where people work on the oil pipelines.
Why is it the coldest if it's not the farthest north?
It has the biggest range of the biggest temperature range of any city in the United States. Fairbanks, Alaska.
Is that a claim to fame to be proud of or ashamed of?
Ashamed of.
It was difficult to assimilate.
Northern is colder, just not a lot of people live up there.
Oh.
So like North Slope where they work on the pipeline, that's where you share in, that's what the permanent fund is. You hear people get paid to live in Alaska.
Yeah.
The permanent fund is profit sharing on the pipeline. And so that's where that money comes from, is the profit sharing of the pipeline. And when I brought Erica to Fairbanks the first time, it was cold for Fairbanks. It was cold for Fairbanks in the winter. It was so cold. It's already awful, but it was like extra.
Negative
41
with no wind.
Yeah.
And I have Raynaud's disease, so it's fucking terrible.
What does that mean?
Basically, your blood vessels constrict unnecessarily. You know, like frostbite, you go outside, your fingers or your nose get way colder than other areas of your body,
Yeah.
and it can like die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people with Raynaud's have the same problem, but their body does it way too early. So like I barely get cold and all of my hand turns white and has no blood supply, and I can't get it back sometimes for like several minutes.
Yeah.
And you can lose fingers.
It's crazy. I noticed
any
that.
cold is really bad.
Is it true that I heard that when you're freezing to death, that there's a moment at the end of when you're freezing to death, like when they come upon a plane crash in the winter, everyone has their clothes off?
You told me that before, and I don't really understand
did, so I'm the only
pathophysiology
source
of
here.
that. I don't know. I guess we could look it up. It's kind of morbid.
I'd rather not.
I like how we went from how was Alaska, thoughts, prayers, you got cold. You know, you can die, and when you die, this is how you look.
Yeah.
Everyone come to Alaska.
So, but I mean, this time it was better. This time it was, people often go, do you guys have, I feel like Fairbanks is not, it doesn't seem like Alaska, you know? Like it doesn't seem like what you'd picture when you pictured Alaska. It's very, it's like a regular town.
Well,
With not much to do.
yeah, I mean, I think of like water, whatever. The places that have icebergs and shit.
I'm going to talk some shit about Alaska right now.
Well, I think of Alaskan cruises, right? That's
Yeah.
the appeal. And you see glaciers and you see like crazy like polar bears and stuff.
Do you know where an Alaskan cruise ship will not be pulling up to?
Alaska?
Fairbanks, Alaska, because, well, Alaska, yes. Anchorage, Juneau. But Fairbanks, Alaska is inland.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes,
So
I do.
the only way for a cruise ship to come on land is if it was a duck boat. You ever see a duck boat?
I have.
Yeah. They drive around and they go, God, someday I'm going to get one of those.
No.
But I'd like to talk shit about Alaska for a minute because everything in Alaska, you kind of go like, that's Fairbanks. Like you, I went bowling once and the lady was very rude to me.
Did they not have bowling balls?
They did have bowling balls.
I feel like you have to explain what it means.
So I went in there and they were rude to me. I went in and I go, I want one of those little kid things, you know, where it doesn't.
Bumpers?
Yeah, and they were upset just because I had no kids with me. And I go, listen to me. I like to drink a lot and run up the score. I don't need kids in here. No, I wanted this thing for my kid. And I go, could I have one? And she was very rude to me. And I was with a friend of mine. And I go, who does this person think they are? And I was rearing up to say like, hey, up, you know, whatever people say when people are rude to you at customer service. And my friend goes, dude, do you know? He goes, you can't be rude to that woman. I go, what are you talking about? Do whatever I want. And he goes, that's the only place to bowl in Fairbanks, Alaska. They can act however they want to the customer. That's it. And he goes, if you tell her off like you're about to, your kids will not know how to bowl. The only way to go bowling will be to get in an airplane and fly to Anchorage. And I was like, this is bullshit. And the reason I bring that up is because there's many establishments that are very Fairbanks, and we went to an escape room, which
Yes, we did.
had never been to. And it was in this rundown building downtown that I felt like we're already playing. I felt like
Just to get into the place.
we're already playing. Yeah, it felt like the whole thing
mystery.
seemed like old and haunted.
Yeah, it
and
smells
like an
so
escape room.
bad.
And then, true story, we're in the escape room and we're looking for clues. And by the way, if you need a clue, you can say like, we'd like a clue. And then my kid would go, we all have to agree. And my kid would go, we'd like a clue. And the lady would come in and she acted like, you know what she acted like?
Like we were complete idiots.
She acted like Alex Trebek. You know Alex Trebek from Jeopardy?
You think he acted like people were idiots?
He would act like, oh man, you didn't know this? You're like, Alex, it's on your card. It's written on the card.
That's fair.
He would be a little bit like, you should have gotten it. And you're like, you have all the answers, you smug son of a bitch. Rest in peace. I love that guy. He was a fantastic host. But my son goes, I think I found a clue. He opens a drawer. There's a bunch of broken glass. And I go, that's got to be something to do with this mystery and how we get out of here. And my son's about to grab the broken glass. And I think to myself, we're in Fairbanks, Alaska. Hold on one second. And I knock on the door and I go, could you come in here? And the lady goes, sure. And I go, is the broken glass in the drawer part of it? And she goes, broken glass. And there was just broken glass that we're about to grab as part of a clue. And it's just because it's Fairbanks, Alaska.
Well, hold on. Here's the other thing, though. She didn't even do anything with it. She left us in the room for another half an hour. She just was like, oh, that's not part of it. Shut the door. Ha ha ha.
Let me tell you something, America.
Don't you think most places would be like, broken glass? Holy. Ugh.
Everyone out.
Immediately.
Here's a refund. Everyone out. No.
And it wasn't like a little piece. It looked like a whole picture frame, like an 8x10 that was shattered in huge shards.
Sharp edges. And you're right.
Readily accessible on a ground level drawer for a child to touch. And she was just like, whoops.
Any place else, Boise, LA, they go full refund. We avoided a potential lawsuit.
I think she also afterwards looked at us and was like, dumbass, you still didn't figure out the clue I gave. And then shut the door.
We didn't. And I would say that was my first experience with an escape room.
I never want to go back.
And I feel like every time I've been in a craft store, it's like an escape room. Like when I'm in Michael's or Joann's, I'm like, honey, what's the code? How do we get out of here?
I'm nice to you in the craft store, though. I know exactly what I want.
What combination of baskets and shells do I need to do to get the fuck out of here?
First of all, I don't buy that crap. But I go in with a mission. We get one thing and we're out. You're welcome. You are lucky. I don't walk all the aisles with you. That being said, I never wanted to do an escape room because I consider myself to be intelligent.
Yeah.
And I thought I would get very frustrated if there were these clues out in the open and I couldn't solve it. All these other people solved it and I was sitting there like a complete idiot. But I will tell you, that was so incredibly hard.
So hard.
That after not getting the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 100th clue, I was like, okay, I'm fine. These are the dumbest clues ever.
I felt like I was doing a crossword in a different language.
Yeah, there were no words.
It was horrible. It was so difficult. And I feel like you're very, very smart. I feel like I'm a bit of a puzzle person. I'm pretty good at puzzles.
We had nothing.
I was just like...
Nothing.
Can I say something?
At one point I was like, is everyone... Because you know how they had it on the bricks on the wall? If you got escaped in 3 clues or less, they got to write their name. And it was covered. The wall was covered with names. Did you know how many times I thought, are this many people in Fairbanks so much smarter than me? Am I that stupid? It was the whole town. Yes. And then you and I come in and they're like, not you two.
They did let us sign. There was a wall on the side that you're allowed to sign if you don't end up killing yourself with the glass shards. If you don't end it all.
Is that where there were no names?
Yeah.
Just blood.
God, that was so annoying. But that's very Fairbanks. So then we went to Boise, Idaho. Anything else of note in Fairbanks? I don't think so.
Well, I was extremely grateful for the darkness to fly back home and have it be dark. Being bright at midnight really messed with me.
Yeah.
Well, because the first time I went in February, I never saw daylight. Well, I did, but for 2 hours, something crazy little. And now, just a couple months later, I never saw darkness. And blackout blinds are great, but you can still see it peering through. I was so wrecked at 2 a.m, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
when we got home here, I was like, thank you for the darkness.
It was nice. You miss darkness. You start to miss darkness. You saw when I was putting my kids to bed, I would put a blanket over their bird cage. I'd put a hood over it to be like, it's nighttime.
No.
It's dark. People don't realize. They go, 24 hours of daylight. This is amazing. No. We need darkness. You ever go to a bar at 2 a.m. and maybe you're about to hook up with someone and you walk outside and the sun's out? You go, you know what? We're not going to make this bad decision. Yeah, this is a horrible idea.
Well, wait a minute.
Where is that darkness?
That's probably helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Except the uglier person never benefits.
That's what upset me. I was still in. I was still all in. She was like, this is a lot of light. I go, eh.
Sounds like you like the winter months in Alaska.
I took that birdcage thing, put it over my head.
Do you go on a lot of dates in January in Alaska then?
I've never dated anyone. It's funny. I was just thinking about, have I actually, there's not a lot of, it's not a lot going on in I went to, I told you the first time I called Uber in Fairbanks, they got Uber and it was all anyone was talking about. We got Uber. I can't believe it. And the first 3 times I called Uber, same guy. Did I tell you that?
No.
So he just gives me his number. We go, screw Uber. I gotta just call Rick. And one Uber, still Uber's very difficult. I went on I once signed up for a dating website when I was in Alaska, and the amount
was it Rick?
It was just Rick, and so Rick came over. There was one girl. There was one girl on the dating app, and it was like clearance
Slim
items.
pickings?
No. Slim's not a word I would come to mind. God.
That's so mean.
I know. It was all that's true except for the Rick thing.
What's the population?
50,000.
Really? It's that little?
Yeah, another 50 with the military. I haven't checked the statistics in a while.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah. You know, they say the ratio of guys to girls is 6-1. You ever hear that?
As of the just occupations?
Just because 6 guys went, which is kind of awkward, especially if you don't know the other 5 guys.
Well, then that one girl on the dating website had a lot going for her.
She was probably getting a lot of action for...
Good for her.
She was like a Fairbanks 5. I would say any other place in the country, she doesn't even register on the scale. It was...
Oof.
Yeah. It was very hard to get her to leave. Are you checking current... I don't think anyone cares.
32,000.
What?
107 people in 2022. You know what's funny?
Well...
That's what it was back in 1990.
But there's military, and I don't think the military counts. And I think they could be 30 to 50,000 in my defense.
2020 census, 32,000.
Remember the census?
City proper, but the population of Fairbanks North Star Borough?
Yeah, that's Fairbanks, basically.
So 95,000.
Oh. That's like North Pole, Alaska, where we went to the Santa Claus house.
Okay, that was cool. I'm not going to knock that. Everything about that store was awesome. Every single thing.
There's a place
Every single thing.
There's a place outside of Fairbanks, Alaska, called North Pole, Alaska, where it's Christmas all year round, and there's a Santa Claus house, and Santa was there all year round. We actually got a picture with Santa.
Wow.
What's up?
Fairbanks is the second largest city in all of Alaska.
Anchorage is the first one?
Yeah. But that's crazy.
Well, yeah, the other ones are noticeably, they're very small, like Juneau and Ketchikan and Sitka.
Anchorage is 300,000. But that's crazy that we're talking, like, making fun of it for being, like, so small.
Yeah.
But it's the second biggest city in the whole state.
Yeah.
Oh, back to the Christmas thing.
Okay. So there's the places Christmas all year round.
Santa.
Which I hate Christmas.
In May.
Christmas sucks.
Well,
I'm moving over to liking it. I just have a lot of bad. Every time I go to Starbucks and if they give me a Christmas cup, I go, I don't even want this shit.
You told me that, and I love them. I wait for them.
I don't want it.
They make me so happy.
I don't want Christmas lattes. I don't want eggnog lattes.
Did you know that I get excited for pumpkin spice lattes in August? They usually come out around like Labor Day, so I have to like hold out hope that I'll get one maybe a little early if they get the shipment in.
Are they only available on the holidays?
Only for a couple months. Yep.
I drink a black coffee, available all seasons, at all times.
Boo, Grinch.
0 calories.
Well, whatever. The Christmas store was awesome. I loved it.
Coming up on the next episode of Afraid to Ask.
Because I think what you have to remember is in your career, in whatever profession you choose, you get very accustomed to what you're doing.
Feces was involved. There was a finger. There's an unclean man. It was just...
No, we're people too. We still find stuff to be gross, right? I'm not like a robot.
But he came in and was just like, yeah, and I had this on my finger, and I did this, and I was like, holy...
And hairballs, that's what we do. I think it's interesting because you have to be sensitive of your audience in that regard, because especially around dinner time, when a group of my friends, or for all doctors, are having dinner, and one person's dating one of us and isn't a physician, usually they don't eat the dinner.
And you're not trying to... What I like is no one's trying to show off or be funny. This was a very matter of fact. He came in and said, this is what happened. It wasn't like a bit or something. It had just happened. It wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to be funny. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy.
And the other thing is too, we're not trying to be mean. I'm not making fun of that patient. I just was honestly perplexed that a hairball could come out of that orifice. Genuinely, I've never seen that before. It wasn't like, oh, and making fun of him crazy, but it's like, oh my God, did you see what I did?